The great halls of the Imperial Palace buzzed with unusual activity. Red lights flashed across the curved ceiling made of rare crystal, a sight not seen in over 300 years. Guards in shining armor rushed through the corridors, their boots clicking against the polished floor. Inside the High Council chamber, 12 of the most powerful beings in the galaxy sat around a massive table made from a single piece of star metal. Grand Admiral White stood before them, his usual confidence replaced by visible concern. "Honored council members," White began, his voice shaking slightly. "I bring disturbing news from the expansion region near the spiral arm. We have lost contact with 3 expansion fleets." The council members stirred. Commander Stone, the youngest among them, laughed. "Lost contact? Our communication systems span galaxies. This must be a technical error." White pressed a button on his wrist device. A hologram appeared above the table, showing 3 massive warships breaking apart. "This is the last transmission we received. The species responsible calls themselves humans. They are primitive." Primitive. General Rock leaned forward, his aged face showing disbelief. "Explain." "They have not yet achieved faster-than-light travel. They are confined to one solar system. Their technology is thousands of years behind ours. And yet," White paused, taking a deep breath, "they destroy our ships using nuclear weapons and simple rocks." Laughter erupted around the table. Commander Stone wiped tears from his eyes. "Rocks? Are you telling us that rocks destroyed our advanced warships?" White's face remained serious. "These rocks were accelerated to near-light speed using primitive mass drivers. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons and plasma. These kinetic weapons simply passed through them. The nuclear devices, while primitive, were used in ways we never anticipated." The council's leader, Lord Grey, raised his hand for silence. "Show us their world." Another hologram appeared, showing a blue-green planet. "They call it Earth," White continued. "Population of 8 billion, highly divided politically, but capable of uniting against external threats. They have been waging war against themselves for their entire recorded history. 8 billion on one planet." General Rock whistled. "That's unprecedented." White nodded. "Their short lifespans and rapid reproduction have led to constant competition for resources. They've developed warfare into an art form. Every advancement in their civilization has come from conflict. They even went to their moon for the first time because of a war of ideology." "Irrelevant." Commander Stone waved his hand dismissively. "They are still primitive. Send the main fleet. 100,000 ships should be enough to teach them their place in the galaxy." Old Master Green, who had been silent until now, slowly stood up. He was the oldest member of the council, having served for over 500 years. His voice, though quiet, commanded attention. "I have seen many species rise and fall," he said, looking at each council member in turn. "But never have I seen a pre-FTL civilization destroy our warships. Never have I seen a species turn simple rocks into weapons that bypass our most advanced defenses. These humans," he paused, his ancient eyes showing worry. "They think differently." "What do you suggest?" Lord Grey asked. "Leave them alone. Let them develop in isolation. They are dangerous in ways we don't understand." Commander Stone slammed his fist on the table. "Ridiculous. We are the Galactic Empire. We have ruled for 10,000 years. We will not be frightened by primitives throwing rocks." The council voted, 11-1 in favor of full invasion. Only Old Master Green voted against it. As the council members left the chamber, Old Master Green grabbed White's arm. "Tell the fleet commanders one thing," he whispered. "If these humans show signs of winning, run. Run as fast as they can." White nodded slowly, remembering the footage he hadn't shown the council. The human ships, tiny compared to Imperial vessels, maneuvering with impossible precision. The human soldiers in primitive spacesuits, boarding a crippled Imperial ship, fighting with a ferocity he had never seen. The human commander's message after the battle: Leave now or learn why we call war a human specialty. As he watched the main fleet prepare for departure, White couldn't shake the feeling that the Empire had just made a terrible mistake. In the silence of his quarters, he recorded a personal message. If you're watching this, we have already learned why the humans survive on a world that should have killed them long ago. They don't just endure adversity. They thrive on it. And now we have given them a common enemy. The great Imperial fleet entered hyperspace, unaware they were about to learn why old Master Green's warning should have been heeded. The Imperial diplomatic vessel Star Crown dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. It was the most beautiful ship in the Empire's fleet, its golden hull designed to impress primitive species. Captain Black stood on the bridge, watching the blue planet grow larger on the main screen. "Send the greeting message," he ordered. "Let's show these humans how civilized beings communicate." The message was perfect, crafted by the Empire's best diplomats, translated into all Earth languages, and broadcast on all frequencies. The Empire had used it to welcome 1,000 worlds into their realm. None had ever refused. The response came faster than expected. "Imperial vessel Star Crown," a calm voice replied in perfect Imperial Common. "This is Earth Defense Command. You are entering restricted space. Maintain your current position. Any movement toward Earth will be considered hostile." Captain Black frowned. They decoded our language already. His science officer nodded. "They used the data from our previous encounters. They learn fast, sir." 6 human ships appeared on the sensors, surrounding the Star Crown in a perfect hexagon formation. They were ugly things, built for function rather than beauty, bristling with weapons that the Imperial sensors couldn't quite identify. "They're so small," Black laughed. "Each one is barely the size of our cargo bay." "Sir," his tactical officer spoke up, "their weapons are aimed at our engine sections. They've identified our weak points." Black's smile faded. Still, he had a mission. Open a channel for face-to-face negotiations. The main screen lit up, showing a plain room with 3 humans sitting at a simple metal table. They wore no fancy uniforms, no decorations, just practical clothing with small flags on their shoulders. "I am Captain Black of the Galactic Empire," he announced grandly. "We come to offer Earth membership in our glorious realm. Your recent, aggressive actions can be forgiven if you submit now." The middle human, an older man with gray hair, leaned forward. "I'm Director West. Let me be clear, Earth doesn't submit to anyone. We're willing to discuss peaceful relations between equals. Nothing less." Black's face turned purple with rage. "Equals? You're barely out of your gravity well. The Empire has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. And yet, the human on the left spoke, a woman with dark skin and sharp eyes. "Your 3 fleets couldn't handle a few primitive weapons. Perhaps your empire isn't as mighty as you think." "Those were merely scout ships," Black said dismissively. "The main fleet carries enough firepower to turn your world to ash." The third human, a man with a long white beard, actually smiled. "You're that afraid of us already? Interesting." "Afraid?" Black sputtered. "We are the Empire." "Yes," Director West nodded. "And you sent a diplomatic ship after losing 3 battles. That tells us everything we need to know about your empire. You primitives don't understand the honor we offer you." Black slammed his fist on his chair. "Submit, or face annihilation." The 3 humans looked at each other. Then, to Black's shock, they laughed. "Captain." Director West wiped his eyes, still chuckling. "We've spent our entire history fighting each other. We've survived plagues, ice ages, and our own nuclear weapons. We've pushed into space not because it was easy, but because it was hard. And now you threaten us with annihilation." The woman leaned forward. "We've already reverse-engineered your shield technology from the wreckage of your scout ships. Would you like to know what other surprises we've prepared?" Black stood up, trembling with fury. "You have 1 Earth day to surrender. After that, the Empire will show no mercy." The white-bearded man smiled again. Neither will we. The transmission cut off. Black turned to his crew, expecting to see shared outrage. Instead, he saw fear in their eyes. They had all read the reports about the lost fleets. As the Star Crown turned to leave, Black's sensors officer spoke quietly. "Sir, the humans are broadcasting something on all frequencies. It's their history of warfare. Every battle, every weapon, every tactic they've ever used. They want us to see it." Black watched the data flow across his screen. The humans had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of killing each other. Now they were eager to share that knowledge with the galaxy. For the first time in his career, Captain Black wondered if the Empire had made a terrible mistake. Back on Earth, Director West turned to his colleagues. "Send the signal. Operation Shield Breaker is now active. Let's show the Empire why humans don't make good slaves." All across Earth, hidden facilities rumbled to life. The Empire wanted war. Humanity would give them one they'd never forget. The Empire's main fleet arrived like a metal storm. 100,000 ships dropped out of hyperspace, their massive hulls blocking out the stars. At the front, aboard the flagship, Empire's Glory, Fleet Commander Red watched Earth grow larger on his view screen. "Such a small world," he said, "for such troublesome creatures." His tactical officer cleared his throat. "Sir, we're detecting unusual energy readings from Earth's moon. Their primitive base there. Ignore it." Red waved his hand dismissively. "Launch the first attack wave. Standard pattern." 10,000 ships moved forward, their weapons charging. Red smiled, imaging how the humans would panic at such a display of power. His smile vanished when the moon's surface began to move. "Sir," his sensor officer shouted, "the moon, it's opening." Massive doors slid apart on the lunar surface, revealing row after row of weapons. They weren't the sleek, advanced weapons of the Empire. These were simple, brutal things: electromagnetic mass drivers, nuclear missile silos, and giant mirrors that could focus the sun's energy. "Impossible," Red whispered. They turned their entire moon into a weapon. The first human strike came not from the moon, but from behind the fleet. Thousands of small objects, previously hidden among the normal space debris, suddenly came to life. Simple nuclear drives pushed them to incredible speeds. "Kinetic strike weapons," someone shouted. "They're everywhere." The Imperial ship's energy shields, designed to stop plasma and laser fire, were useless against solid objects moving at near-light speed. Dozens of ships erupted in flames as the primitive but deadly weapons tore through their hulls. Red grabbed his command chair as his flagship shook. "Return fire. Full spread." The Empire's ships unleashed their advanced weapons. Beams of pure energy and plasma bolts streaked toward Earth. Then something unexpected happened. Hundreds of small satellites around Earth activated. Each one generated a simple magnetic field. Together, they created a web that caught the Empire's energy weapons and redirected them into space. "They've turned our own technology against us," Red's science officer said in awe. "Those are based on our shield designs, but modified." The moon batteries opened fire. Mass drivers hurled chunks of metal at incredible speeds. Nuclear missiles, hidden in the lunar dust, launched in swarms. The giant mirrors focused sunlight into deadly beams. 30% of first wave destroyed. Someone reported, "We're losing formation." Red slammed his fist on his chair. "Launch everything. All ships, all weapons." The space between Earth and the Imperial fleet turned into chaos. The Empire had numbers and advanced technology. The humans had preparation and brutal simplicity. Then came the worst surprise. New contacts. The sensor officer screamed. Coming from Earth's asteroid belt. Hidden among the rocks, humanity's secret weapons waited. Ships made from stolen Imperial technology, crewed by humans who had trained for this moment. They were smaller than Imperial ships, faster, more maneuverable. They darted between the larger Empire vessels, their weapons precisely targeting weak points. How? Red demanded. How do they know exactly where to hit us? They've been studying the wreckage from our scout ships, his intelligence officer replied. They know our designs better than we do. A massive explosion rocked the flagship. On the screen, Red watched in horror as one of his largest ships was torn apart, not by weapons, but by small human vessels that had attached themselves to its hull and detonated. Sir, his communications officer spoke quietly. We're receiving a message from Earth. On the screen appeared Director West, looking calm despite the battle raging around his world. First lesson about fighting humans, Commander. We don't rely on just one type of weapon. Second lesson. We're very good at learning from our enemies. Red stared at his tactical display. Already, 40% of his fleet was damaged or destroyed. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were winning. Fall back, he ordered. Regroup at the outer system. As the Imperial ships retreated, Red remembered Old Master Green's warning about the humans. He understood now. They didn't just fight wars. They revolutionized them. In his private log that night, Red wrote, "We thought we were gods coming to teach primitives. Instead, we found demons who had spent millennia preparing for exactly this kind of fight. The Empire has awakened something terrible. May the stars help us all." The Imperial repair station near Jupiter's orbit buzzed with activity. Damaged ships limped in for repairs, their proud hulls scarred by human weapons. On the command deck, Fleet Commander Red met with his officers, all of them looking tired and worried. "Report," Red ordered, his voice hollow. Captain Brown stepped forward with a datapad. "We've lost contact with 30 supply ships in the last week alone. The humans are using something new, some kind of automated attack drones." The main screen lit up, showing grainy footage from a supply ship's last moments. A small object, barely larger than a human shuttle, approached silently. No crew, no life signs, just a simple computer and engines. "They're killing our ships with robots," Red asked in disbelief. "Smart robots," Brown corrected. "They hide among space debris, waiting. When our ships pass." He didn't need to finish. Everyone had seen the explosions. Another officer, Major Silver, spoke up. "That's not the worst part. Show him the captured technology report." Brown changed the display. "The humans aren't just destroying our ships. They're studying them, learning from them. Every piece of wreckage becomes a textbook for them." Red watched the data scroll past. Human scientists had taken Imperial shield generators and made them smaller, more efficient. They'd studied Imperial weapons and found ways to block them. But most worrying was what they'd done with the hyperdrive parts. "Impossible," Red whispered. "They can't have." A new alarm blared. On the main screen, a ship appeared. It was clearly of human design. Blocky, practical, bristling with weapons. But it hadn't been there a second ago. It had jumped in, using a crude but working version of Imperial faster-than-light technology. "They've done it," Brown said quietly. "They've reversed-engineered our hyperdrives. They can leave their solar system now." The human ship broadcasted a simple message before jumping away. "Thanks for the tech upgrade. We'll be visiting your world soon." Red slumped in his chair. In just weeks, the humans had taken the Empire's greatest advantage, its monopoly on FTL travel, and turned it against them. "There's more," Silver added. "Show him the boarding footage." The screen changed to show interior camera feeds from an Imperial cruiser. Human soldiers in simple spacesuits moved through the corridors with practiced ease. They didn't use energy weapons like Imperial troops. They carried simple projectile guns, magnetic grenades, and short blades. "Our internal defenses are designed to stop energy weapons," Brown explained. "Their primitive guns work just fine inside our ships. And in close combat." He shuddered. The footage showed a human soldier taking down 3 Imperial troops with quick, brutal movements. The Empire's warriors, used to fighting at range with energy weapons, had no defense against humans trained in hand-to-hand combat. "They're broadcasting these fights across our communications networks," Silver said. Imperial troops are becoming afraid to face humans in close quarters. Some ships are surrendering rather than risk being boarded. Red stood up and walked to the window, watching repair drones work on damaged ships. Everything the Empire had built over thousands of years, its technology, its tactics, its reputation, was being pulled apart by humans in a matter of weeks. "Sir," Brown said hesitantly, "there's one more thing. We've detected unusual activity in the asteroid belt. The humans are building something big." The screen showed grainy images of asteroids being hollowed out, turned into mobile bases. Hundreds of them, all equipped with engines and weapons. They're not just defending anymore, Silver realized. They're preparing to attack. A junior officer burst into the room. "Commander, we're detecting multiple FTL signatures. Human ships are jumping out of the system. They're heading toward Imperial space." Red watched the dots on the tactical display scatter across the star map. The humans weren't running away. They were spreading out, looking for targets. Each crewed human FTL ship carried the seeds of chaos. More drones, more soldiers, more chances to capture Imperial technology and learn from it. "Send word to all Imperial worlds," Red ordered. Tell them the humans are coming. And unlike anything the Empire has ever faced, they don't just want to win. They want to learn. Every defeat makes them stronger. Every victory teaches them more." As the messages went out, Red added a personal note. "The humans have turned our own arrogance against us. We thought we were teaching them their place in the galaxy. Instead, they're teaching us the true meaning of fear." The Imperial border world of Nova Prime had never seen anything like it. Hundreds of human ships appeared from hyperspace, their crude FTL drives leaving ripples in space. They weren't the elegant vessels of the Empire, but rather brutal machines built for a single purpose: war. Governor Gold watched from his palace as the sky filled with fire. "How dare they?" he sputtered. "How dare these primitives attack an Imperial world?" His military commander, Captain Steele, remained calm. "They've attacked 3 other worlds this week, sir, each time with the same pattern." On the display screens, the human ships split into small groups. They ignored the large Imperial defense platforms, instead targeting communication arrays and supply depots. It wasn't random destruction, it was surgery. "Sir," a young officer reported, "the humans are broadcasting on all frequencies. They're offering our troops a choice: surrender or fight." Gold slammed his fist on his desk. No Imperial soldier would ever surrender to primitives. But he was wrong. As they watched, several Imperial ships powered down their weapons. The crews had seen the videos from Earth, had heard stories of what happened to ships that resisted boarding parties. The human ships were smaller than Imperial vessels, but they moved like angry insects, darting between laser fire with impossible precision. Their pilots pushed their ships to limits that would have killed most species. "How do they fly like that?" Steele wondered aloud. "The G-forces should be crushing them." "Their bodies evolved on a high-gravity world," his science officer explained. "They can endure forces that would kill us, and they've designed their ships to take advantage of that." The first wave of human boarding pods struck the orbital defense stations. Instead of sophisticated cutting tools, they simply smashed through the hulls at high speed, their reinforced frames protecting the soldiers inside. Security camera feeds showed the brutal efficiency of human close combat. Imperial troops, trained to fight at range, found themselves face to face with humans who had spent lifetimes perfecting the art of personal combat. The humans moved like predators, using simple projectile weapons and hand-to-hand techniques that Imperial armor couldn't stop. "Sir," an officer shouted, "they're not just taking our ships, they're reprogramming our automated defense systems." Gold watched in horror as the orbital platforms turned their weapons away from the human ships and began targeting Imperial vessels instead. The humans had brought tech specialists with their soldiers, experts who could hack and reprogram Imperial systems in the middle of combat. "This isn't a battle," Steele realized. It's a heist. They're stealing everything they can use. He was right. The humans weren't just destroying. They were collecting. Every captured ship was quickly crewed by human pilots. Every seized weapon was turned against its former owners. They were like scavengers, but with a terrifying intelligence behind their actions. A new alert sounded. More human ships appeared, but these were different. They were hybrids. Imperial technology merged with human design. Ships that combined the best of both worlds, crewed by humans who knew exactly how to use them. Submit or retreat. The human message played constantly. We don't want to destroy you. We just want you to leave us alone. But the Empire had never retreated. Pride kept them fighting even when logic said to run. Ship after ship fell to the human attackers. Some were destroyed. Others were captured and turned against their former masters. In his command center, Steele watched the battle turn into a rout. "Send the evacuation order," he said quietly. "The planet is lost." Governor Gold tried to protest, but his words were cut short by a new transmission. On every screen appeared Director West, the human leader they had dismissed so easily weeks ago. "Your empire taught us something important," West said calmly. "You showed us that the galaxy is hostile, that we needed to be stronger. So we learned. We adapted. And now we're teaching you something. Humanity doesn't just survive. We turn our enemy's strength into our own." As escaped ships fled Nova Prime, Steele recorded one final message to Imperial Command. "They're not just warriors. They're not just survivors. They're like a virus that infects everything it touches, learning, growing, becoming stronger. The Empire taught them war among the stars. Now they're teaching us the price of underestimating them." The fall of Nova Prime marked a turning point. The Empire had started this war expecting an easy victory over primitives. Instead, they had created their own worst nightmare. Humans with access to advanced technology, and a very good reason to use it. The imperial capital world of Crown Prime glowed like a jewel in space. 10,000 years of galactic rule had turned the planet into a work of art, with crystal spires reaching into the clouds and golden cities spanning entire continents. Now, it was about to become a battlefield. Lord Grey stood in the Imperial Palace's war room, surrounded by the Empire's remaining leaders. The holographic displays showed a sight none of them had ever expected: human ships approaching the heart of the Empire. "They've pushed us back to our own capital," Commander Stone said, his voice no longer carrying its usual arrogance. "How did it come to this?" Old Master Green, who had warned them about the humans from the start, spoke softly. "We gave them no choice. Now they give us none." The human fleet appeared suddenly, their improved FTL drives now more precise than Imperial technology. Leading them was the Earth's Vengeance, a massive ship that combined human ingenuity with stolen Imperial tech. Director West's voice broadcasted across all frequencies. "This is humanity's final offer," West announced. "Surrender. Reform your empire. End this war." Lord Grey's face turned purple with rage. "Never. Launch the planet killers." From behind Crown Prime's 3 moons, the Empire's most terrible weapons emerged. Planet killer ships, each carrying enough firepower to destroy a world. They had never failed before. But the humans had prepared for this too. "Now," West commanded. Suddenly, the space around Crown Prime filled with small objects. Millions of them, each no bigger than a human fist. They formed a perfect mathematical pattern, creating a web of gravity distortions. "What are they doing?" Stone demanded. The Empire's planet killers fired. Their energy beams, capable of cracking worlds, struck the human network. Instead of reaching their targets, the beams curved, twisted, and turned back on themselves. "Gravity manipulation," Old Master Green said with something like admiration. "They turned space itself into a shield." The human fleet split into smaller groups, each moving with practiced precision. They had learned from every battle, adapted their tactics, improved their technology. Now they were teaching the Empire its final lesson. Their formations, the Imperial tactical officer reported with awe. They're perfect. Every ship knows exactly where to be, exactly when to move. The battle that followed would be studied for centuries. Human ships darted between Imperial defenses, their weapons striking with surgical precision. They didn't try to destroy the capital. They dismantled it, piece by piece. "Sir," an officer shouted, "they're broadcasting something across the entire empire. On every screen, on every planet under Imperial rule, images appeared. The Empire's atrocities, its conquered worlds, its suppressed peoples, and alongside them, Earth's message of reform and freedom. They're not just defeating us," Old Master Green realized. "They're replacing us, offering something better." Lord Grey watched his perfect world burn. Launch everything. Every ship. Every weapon. But the Imperial fleet was in chaos. Some ships surrendered. Others tried to flee. The proud Imperial Navy, which had ruled the stars for 10,000 years, was falling apart in the face of human determination. Then came the final blow. Imperial command. West's voice was calm. "Look above you." The palace roof turned transparent, revealing a sight that made even Lord Grey stumble back. The entire human fleet had positioned itself in a perfect sphere around the capital. Each ship pointed inward, weapons ready. "You can die for your pride," West said, "or live for a better future. Choose." In the war room, Old Master Green stepped forward. "I vote to surrender." One by one, the other council members joined him. Only Lord Grey remained defiant. "We are the Empire," he shouted. "We cannot be defeated by primitives." "No," Old Master Green corrected him. "We were the Empire, and they were never primitives. We just couldn't see past our own arrogance." As the surrender orders went out across Imperial space, Director West sent one final message. "Remember this day, not as the day the Empire fell, but as the day the galaxy learned that true strength isn't about technology or territory. It's about the willingness to learn, to adapt, and to change." The Empire's last stand ended not with a grand explosion, but with a simple realization. They had created their own destruction by threatening a species that turned every challenge into an opportunity to evolve. 5 years after the fall of Crown Prime, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. The crystal spires of the Imperial capital still reached toward the stars, but now they housed the headquarters of the Galactic Federation, a democratic alliance of worlds where humans worked alongside their former enemies. In one of these towers, Old Master Green sat with Director West, watching ships of all species come and go through the busy space lanes. "You've changed everything," Green said, sipping his tea. "Not just our technology, but our entire way of thinking." West smiled. Change was always possible. The Empire just forgot how. Below them, in the Grand Plaza, Imperial citizens mingled with humans and other species. The humans had surprised everyone again, not by destroying the Empire, but by helping rebuild it into something better. "Tell me," Green asked, "did you plan this from the start?" "The Federation?" West shook his head. "We just wanted to survive. But humans have a saying. The best victory isn't destroying your enemy, but making them your friend." In the orbital shipyards, human engineers worked alongside Imperial technicians, creating vessels that combined the best of both civilizations. The new ships were beautiful and practical, elegant and strong, like the society they represented. A group of young Imperial officers entered the observation deck, led by Commander Stone's daughter. They snapped to attention when they saw West and Green. "At ease," West said. "How goes the joint training program?" "Amazing, sir," the young officer replied eagerly. "The humans are teaching us ground combat techniques, and we're helping them improve their energy weapon accuracy. Yesterday we had a competition." "Which they won, I assume?" Green asked, amused. "Actually, sir, we tied. That's what they've taught us. There doesn't always have to be a winner and loser. Sometimes everyone can improve together." After the officers left, West turned to Green. You warned them about us at the start, didn't you? I did. Green nodded. I saw something in humans that scared me. But I was wrong about what it was. I thought I saw a terrible enemy, but instead I saw the future. In the Federation's military academy, a new class of cadets, human, imperial, and other species, watched historical footage of the war. Their instructor, Captain Brown, who had fought against the humans, pointed to the screen. This was our mistake, he explained. We thought technology made us superior. The humans taught us that adaptability, creativity, and cooperation are the true keys to advancement. One cadet raised her hand. Sir, is it true that humans still train with primitive weapons? Yes, Brown nodded. They never abandon old knowledge just because they gain new tools. That's another lesson they taught us. Everything can be useful if you're creative enough. In orbit, the Federation's new flagship prepared for its maiden voyage. Its crew was mixed, humans and former Imperials working together. Its captain was the son of a human farmer. Its first officer was Lord Grey's nephew. They commanded their ship not through fear or power, but through mutual respect. Back in the tower, West stood to leave. The new deep space exploration fleet launches tomorrow. Humans and Imperials, venturing into the unknown together. Are you worried? Green asked. About what we might find out there. No, West smiled. Whatever we find, we'll face it together. Humans don't just fight well. We build well when given the chance. As night fell over Crown Prime, message buoys throughout the galaxy broadcast the daily Federation news. Trade was up. Scientific discoveries were accelerating. Former enemy species were becoming allies. In a classroom on a distant world, a young alien student asked her teacher about humans. The teacher, who had fought in the war, thought carefully before answering. Remember these 3 things about humans, he said. First, they never stop learning. Second, they can turn any weakness into strength. And third, he smiled, if you have to fight them, run. But if you can make them your friends, do it. Because they make the best allies in the galaxy. That night, as Crown Prime's 3 moons rose over the Federation capital, Old Master Green wrote in his final journal, "The Empire ruled through fear for 10,000 years. The humans defeated us in months. But their greatest victory wasn't in the battles they won. It was in the peace they built. They taught us that true power isn't in conquering others, but in lifting them up. The galaxy feared humans would destroy us. Instead, they saved us from ourselves."